Ladies and gentlemen, it's an honor to be with you today. Truly, it is. You know, I've often said that one of life's greatest joys is to share ideas that can make a difference. And today, we're going to talk about something fundamental, something that stands at the very crossroads of success and mediocrity, fulfillment and regret. We're going to talk about taking charge of your life. Now, isn't that interesting? Taking charge of your life. Four simple words that carry the weight of destiny within them. You see, most people I meet are waiting for the right moment, waiting for permission, waiting for conditions to improve, waiting for someone to come along and make things better. But here's what I've discovered after all these years. While you're waiting, life is happening. While you're hesitating, opportunities are passing. While you're making excuses, others are making progress. The difference between where you are and where you want to be is often just a matter of who's in charge. And I'm here today to suggest, no, to insist that it must be you. Let me ask you a question, and I want you to answer honestly, at least to yourself. Who is running your life right now? Is it you, or is it your circumstances, your past, your fears, your habits, other people's expectations? Because here's the truth. Until you decide to take full responsibility for your life, all of it, you will forever be at the mercy of forces outside yourself. And that's no way for an extraordinary human being to live. Today I want to share with you some fundamentals, some disciplines of thought and action that can help you claim ownership of your life once and for all, not next year, not when the economy improves, not when you feel ready, but today, right now, this very moment. Because the day you truly decide to take charge is the day your life begins to change. Reflective, slightly firmer tone. You know what amazes me? How long people will tolerate mediocrity in their own lives. How long they'll put up with circumstances they know deep down aren't worthy of them. Let me tell you about two kinds of pain. There's the pain of discipline and the pain of regret. The difference is, discipline weighs ounces while regret weighs tons. Most people are waiting for their lives to change. And you know what they're really waiting for? They're waiting for a miracle. They're waiting to win the lottery of life. They're waiting for someone to come along and discover them, promote them, marry them, fix them, or save them. But let me share something I learned a long time ago. The cavalry isn't coming. No one is coming to save you. And that, my friends, is actually the good news. Because once you realize that no one is coming to rescue you, you can rescue yourself. Once you understand that no one is coming to fix your life, you can fix it yourself. And that realization, that moment of clarity, is the beginning of personal power. Now, why do people wait? Let me give you 3 reasons. First, they're comfortable with being uncomfortable. Isn't that interesting? They've become so accustomed to mediocrity, so familiar with their limitations, that they've befriended their problems instead of solving them. Second, they're addicted to excuses. Excuses are like tranquilizers. They don't solve anything, but they make you feel better temporarily. I don't have time. I don't have the education. I don't know the right people. The economy is bad. I'm too old. I'm too young. The list is endless. But here's what I know for sure. For every excuse, there's someone out there with the same circumstances who's succeeding anyway. For every reason why it's impossible, there's someone proving it possible every day. Third, and this might be the most important, people wait because taking charge is scary. It means accepting that the quality of your life is largely determined by the quality of your choices. It means there's no one else to blame. And for many people, that's a frightening proposition. But let me suggest something. What if taking responsibility isn't about blame at all? What if it's actually about power? Because when you're in charge, you have options. When you're in charge, you can change course. When you're in charge, you're no longer at the mercy of the winds. You're the one setting the sails. I'll never forget meeting a young man years ago. He said to me, "Mr. Rohn, my life is a mess, but it's not my fault." And I asked him, "Well, whose fault is it?" He had an answer ready: his employer, the economy, his upbringing, on and on. Then I asked him something that stopped him cold. If it's not your fault, who's going to fix it? You see, even if it's not your fault, it's still your responsibility. Even if you didn't create all your circumstances, it's still up to you to do something about them. Stop waiting for life to change. Life changes when you change. Ralph Waldo Emerson once wrote an essay called Self-Reliance. In it he said, "Trust thyself. Every heart vibrates to that iron string." That's powerful, isn't it? Every heart vibrates to that iron string. There's something within us that responds to the idea of standing on our own 2 feet, charting our own course, being captains of our own ships. Self-reliance isn't about doing everything alone. It's about taking full ownership. It's about saying, if it's going to be, it's up to me. I learned this lesson early in my life. I was a young man, struggling financially, making excuses, blaming circumstances. Then I met my mentor, Mr. Schaff, and he said something I never forgot. He said, "Jim, don't wish it were easier, wish you were better. Don't wish for fewer problems, wish for more skills. Don't wish for less challenge, wish for more wisdom." That changed everything for me. I realized I'd been focusing on the wrong things. I'd been wishing for different circumstances when I should have been working on becoming a different person. Self-reliance means understanding that the primary source of your success or failure lies not in external conditions, but in internal decisions. Not in what happens to you, but in what you do about what happens to you. Let me ask you, are you waiting for conditions to change, or are you working to change your conditions? Are you hoping things get better, or are you making things better? You see, hope is not a strategy. Waiting is not an action plan. Complaining is not a solution. I often tell the story of two sailors. Both are caught in the same storm with the same winds and the same waves. But one sailor learns to adjust his sails while the other curses the wind. Which one do you think makes it safely to shore? Your life works the same way. We don't control the weather. We don't control the economy. We don't control other people. But we do control our actions, our attitudes, our responses, our growth. There's a wonderful ancient proverb that says, "The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is now." That's the essence of self-reliance. It's saying, starting today, I take charge. Starting today, I stop blaming and start claiming my power, claiming my future, claiming my life. Remember this, the same wind blows on us all. The difference in arrival is not the blowing of the wind, but the setting of the sail. Set your sail in the direction of your dreams and take full responsibility for the journey. That's self-reliance. That's power. You know, there's something fascinating about the human mind. It's the only instrument in the universe that can observe itself. Think about that for a moment. Your mind can watch itself think. It can examine its own thoughts. And that gives you an extraordinary power. The power to choose your thoughts. Now, why is that important? Because everything begins with thought. Every invention, every business, every achievement, every failure, they all begin in the human mind. I've often said that you cannot change your destination overnight, but you can change your direction. And the first change of direction happens in your thinking. Here's a fundamental truth that changed my life. You can't change the seasons, but you can change yourself. You can't change the wind, but you can adjust your sails. You can't change yesterday, but you can change your reaction to yesterday. The great Earl Nightingale taught us that we become what we think about. If you think about lack and limitation, that's what you'll experience. If you think about possibility and abundance, that's what you'll create. I remember talking to a gentleman years ago. He told me, "Jim, business is terrible." I asked him how long he'd been saying that, and he said, "About 3 years." I said, "Well, congratulations. You've created quite a consistent reality for yourself." He looked puzzled, and I explained, "Your thoughts become your words become your beliefs become your actions, Your actions become your habits become your character, and your character becomes your destiny. It all starts with a thought. Change your thinking, and you change your life. But how do you do that? Let me give you 3 disciplines of thought that can transform your mindset. First, become a student of positive expectations. Expect good things to happen. Look for what's right instead of what's wrong. Anticipate success rather than failure. Remember, pessimism never won any battles. Second, practice gratitude daily. Gratitude is the antidote to entitlement, to negativity, to scarcity thinking. When you're grateful, you can't be fearful. When you're counting your blessings, you can't be counting your problems at the same time. Third, feed your mind with ideas that empower you. Be careful what you watch, what you read, what you listen to. Your mind is like a garden. It will grow whatever seeds you plant in it, whether flowers or weeds. I had a friend who complained about his life constantly. One day I asked him, "What did you read last month to improve your thinking?" He hadn't read anything. "What seminars did you attend?" None. "What audio programs did you listen to?" Nothing. I said, "My friend, you can't plant weeds and expect to harvest roses. Your mindset is not fixed. It's a choice. And it's a choice you make every day, whether consciously or unconsciously. Choose thoughts that empower you. Choose ideas that inspire you. Choose beliefs that move you forward rather than hold you back. Remember, the greatest discovery of my generation is that human beings can alter their lives by altering their attitudes of mind. As you think, so shall you become. Now let's talk about something that separates the successful from the unsuccessful more than perhaps anything else. Taking absolute uncompromising responsibility for your circumstances. I want to be clear about what responsibility means. It doesn't mean blame. It doesn't mean guilt. It means responsibility, your ability to respond. Most people spend their lives looking for someone or something to blame for their condition. It's the government. It's the economy. It's my upbringing. It's my boss. It's my spouse. It's bad luck. But here's the problem with blame. It keeps you stuck. As long as it's someone else's fault, you have no power to change it. I met a man once who told me he'd been broke for 10 years. I said, 10 years? That's a long time to be broke. He had all kinds of reasons: the economy, his industry, his partner who left with the money. I asked him, "Do you have mirrors in your house?" He looked confused. I said, "Because the problem is not out there. The problem is in the mirror." That's a hard truth to hear, but it's the most liberating truth once you accept it. Because when you take responsibility, you take back your power. I want you to try something. For the next 90 days, eliminate these phrases from your vocabulary. I can't. If only. I have to. And someone should. Replace them with I can, I will, I choose to, and I will find a way. See, there are 2 kinds of people in this world: those who say, "It happened to me," and those who say, "I made it happen." Which one are you? Taking responsibility means no more stories, no more excuses, no more justifications for mediocrity. There's a powerful exercise I sometimes share with my audiences. Take out a piece of paper and draw a line down the middle. On the left side, write down all the circumstances in your life that you're not happy with. Be honest. Then on the right side, write down your contribution to those circumstances. What have you done or not done that helped create those conditions? Most people never do this exercise because it's uncomfortable. It means admitting that perhaps we've been the authors of our own difficulties, but it's also the beginning of change. Because once you see your contribution, you can change your contribution. And when you change your contribution, you change the result. The day you take full responsibility is the day you claim your freedom. Freedom from blame. Freedom from excuses. Freedom from waiting for someone else to make your life better. And with that freedom comes power. The power to create, to change, to grow, to succeed. Remember this: life doesn't respond to need, it responds to deserving. You don't get what you want, you get what you deserve, and you deserve what you become. Become someone who takes charge. who accepts responsibility, who makes no excuses, and watch how your life transforms. Let me tell you about the miracle of daily disciplines. Most people overestimate what they can accomplish in a year and underestimate what they can achieve in a decade. Why? Because they don't understand the power of consistent daily action. Success is nothing more than a few simple disciplines practiced every day. Failure is simply a few errors in judgment, repeated every day. It's the small things that make the big difference. It's not the major decisions, but the consistent choices. Not the grand gestures, but the tiny habits. I learned this from Mr. Schoaf many years ago. He said, "Jim, success is not something you pursue. Success is something you attract by the person you become." And who do you become? You become the sum total of your daily disciplines. Let me give you an example. If you read just 10 pages of a good book every day, that's 3,650 pages a year, the equivalent of about 18 books. In 5 years, that's 90 books. How would your life be different if you read 90 books on success, business, relationships, health, or any subject that could improve your life? Or consider your health. Walking just 30 minutes a day might not seem like much, but that's 182 hours of exercise in a year. Do you think that would make a difference in your energy, your vitality, your appearance? What about saving? Just $5 a day is $1,825 a year. In 20 years with modest interest, that's over $50,000. Small disciplines, compounded over time, create massive results. The problem is, these disciplines are easy to do, but they're also easy not to do. Missing one day of reading doesn't seem to matter. Skipping one workout doesn't seem to matter. Spending $5 on coffee instead of putting it in savings doesn't seem to matter. But that's the deceiving thing about failure. Failure doesn't happen dramatically. It happens subtly, one small neglect at a time. The same is true of success. Success is not an event, it's a process. It's the slight edge you get from doing the little things consistently over time. I want to challenge you to identify 5 daily disciplines that could change your life if practiced consistently. Maybe it's reading. Maybe it's exercise. Maybe it's making 3 sales calls before noon. Maybe it's expressing gratitude. Maybe it's writing down your goals. Whatever they are, commit to them for 90 days. Not forever, just 90 days. See what happens. I promise you'll be amazed at the results. Remember, we are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit. Discipline creates lifestyle. Lifestyle creates distinction. And distinction leads to wealth, health, happiness, and all the things most people say they want, but aren't willing to develop the disciplines to achieve. The question isn't whether daily disciplines work. The question is, will you work the daily disciplines? Let's talk about something that might be uncomfortable, but is absolutely essential: the people you associate with. Jim Rohn, that's me, is famous for saying, "You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with." Think about that. Your income, your attitudes, your health habits, your ambition, your perspective, they're all shaped by the people around you. I call it the law of association, like attracts like. Birds of a feather really do flock together. I remember as a young man, I had big dreams, but I was surrounded by small thinkers. I had ambition, but I was associating with people who were comfortable with mediocrity. And guess what happened? I stayed stuck, not because I didn't have potential, but because my environment was limiting my growth. Then I changed my associations. I started seeking out successful people. I started spending time with individuals who had already achieved what I wanted to achieve, and everything changed. Your associations don't just influence you, they create you. They shape your thinking, your expectations, your effort. They pull you up, or they pull you down. Now, I'm not suggesting you abandon old friends or family members, but I am suggesting you be intentional about who gets your time and attention. There are 3 types of associations you need to be aware of. First, there are disassociations, people you might need to spend less time with. These are the negative influences, the dream stealers, the people who, consciously or unconsciously, try to keep you at their level. Second, there are limited associations, people you might care about but who don't share your ambition or mindset. You don't cut them off, but you limit your exposure to their influence. Third, there are expanded associations, new relationships with people who inspire you, challenge you, and pull you up. These are the relationships you need to actively seek out and cultivate. Ask yourself, who am I becoming because of the people I'm associating with? Are my current associations serving my future, or are they keeping me tied to my past? Here's a simple but powerful exercise. Make a list of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Then ask yourself, am I happy with the direction they're headed? Because that's likely the direction you're headed too. If you want to be successful, associate with successful people. If you want to be positive, associate with positive people. If you want to grow, associate with growth-oriented people. Environment is stronger than willpower. You can have all the ambition in the world, but if you're surrounded by mediocrity, it's an uphill battle. Choose your associations wisely, because they are choosing your future. I want to talk now about something that separates extraordinary lives from ordinary ones: designing your future with intent. Most people don't design their lives. They accept their lives. They take what comes. They drift. They react. They respond. But they don't create. Design implies intention. It implies purpose. It implies vision. There's a profound difference between drifting through life and directing your life. Drifting requires no effort, no plan, no purpose. But directing your life, that's an art and a discipline. Let me ask you a question. 5 years from now, where will you be? What will you be doing? Who will you be with? What will your health be like? Your finances? Your relationships? Your contribution to the world? If you can't answer those questions with clarity and conviction, chances are you're drifting. Now, I'm not suggesting you need to have every detail figured out. Life has a way of surprising us all, but I am suggesting you need a compass, a direction, a vision that guides your choices. Here's how you begin to design your future with intent. First, clarify your values. What matters most to you? Is it family, achievement, service, adventure, freedom? When you're clear about your values, decisions become simpler. You simply ask, does this choice align with what matters most to me? Second, set specific goals. Goals give direction to your values. They turn intangible aspirations into tangible targets. A goal is a dream with a deadline, a wish with work clothes on. Write your goals down. Be specific. Be realistic but challenging. Give them deadlines. Review them regularly. Goals not written down are just wishes. Third, create a plan. A goal without a plan is just a fantasy. Break your goals down into actionable steps. What needs to happen this year, this month, this week, today, to move you closer to where you want to be? Fourth, and this might be the most important, develop the necessary skills and mindset. Your future is determined not just by your goals, but by your capabilities. Ask yourself, who do I need to become to create the future I desire? Then work on becoming that person. Remember, for things to change, you must change. For things to get better, you must get better. I've had people tell me, Jim, I want a better job. I ask, what are you doing to become better? I want more money. What value are you creating that deserves more money? I want better relationships. How are you becoming a better person to attract better relationships? You attract what you are, not what you want. So if you want a better future, become a better you. Design your life so that you grow constantly, contribute consistently, and experience the deep joy that comes from living on purpose. The future belongs to those who prepare for it today. Don't leave your future to chance. Design it with intention, pursue it with persistence, and create it through daily action. As we come to the close of our time together, I want to leave you with some final thoughts about taking charge of your life. You know, in all my years of teaching and learning, speaking and listening, I've come to believe that life gives us exactly what we demand of it. No more, and certainly no less. Most people make modest demands on life. They ask for comfort rather than growth, security rather than adventure, convenience rather than contribution. And that's exactly what they get. A comfortable, secure, convenient life that ultimately feels empty. But the extraordinary ones, the ones who leave their mark on this world, the ones who taste true fulfillment, they demand more. They demand growth. They demand excellence. They demand meaning. And here's the beautiful truth. Life is waiting to give you everything you have the courage to demand from it. You can demand mediocrity, and life will oblige. You can demand excuses, and life will provide them in abundance. Or you can demand greatness from yourself, and life, though it may test your resolve, will ultimately yield to your demand. The choice is yours. It always has been. Taking charge of your life isn't a one-time decision. It's a moment-by-moment commitment to directing your thoughts, managing your emotions, and taking action in alignment with your highest values and deepest desires. It's saying, "This is my life, my one and only life, and I refuse to let it be dictated by circumstance, comfort, or fear." Let me share with you one last story. Years ago, I met a young man who had every reason to fail. He came from poverty. He had limited education. He had no connections. By all conventional measures, his future was limited. But he had one thing that made all the difference. He refused to surrender responsibility for his life to his circumstances. He looked at his situation and said, "This is not my destiny. This is my starting point." He read everything he could get his hands on. He sought out mentors. He worked when others slept. He saved when others spent. He learned when others were entertained. He planned while others drifted. Today, he's not just successful by conventional standards, wealthy, respected, accomplished. He's successful by the only standard that ultimately matters. He's living a life of meaning, purpose, and contribution on his own terms. That could be your story too. It could start today. It could start now. Remember, it's not what happens to you that determines your destiny. It's what you do about what happens to you. It's not the wind, but the set of your sail that determines your direction. So set your sail, take the helm, chart your course, and have the glorious adventure that comes from truly taking charge of your life. Thank you for your time and attention today. I'm grateful for the opportunity to share these ideas with you. Now go, not just to do, but to become. Because becoming is even more important than achieving. Achieving tells you what you can do. Becoming tells you who you are. And who you are, that's the real miracle, the real opportunity, the real gift. Remember, the same wind blows on us all. What matters is the set of your sail. Set it well, my friends. Set it well.